Top to bottom, ye name ye history, no. And internet on your normal one. And internet says, "Say, boy, your man, because who are broaching because you name complications. Your microphone name no my baby. What you jira? Maybe nam chroma. Him say, hey, that ba na you buy a horse on sorry. Europeans have colonized almost everything. Look at the laws that we use to do business. They say that is their law. Look at the laws that we are using to govern our country. They say it's their law. Look at the laws that we live in democracy. Look at the sports, football and all those. Look at innovation, almost everything that they have to put their name on it. Even if they pick it from somebody else, they have to put their name on it. So you're not civilized until you learn from them.
You don't know anything about any place until the white man gets there. Until the white man comes to any place, nothing lives. It's only when he comes and say, "Boof, I've discovered you, now you exist," which is ridiculous.
O Africa, why hast thou not realized thy potential? And the reason is simple. They came here and did something to our mind and to our spirituality.
And so when you go to our universities now and our secondary schools now, what they are teaching them, it will just make them to look for job and sing hallelujah to the white man all the time. So that's why you are looking for multinational to work as a manager. You are not thinking of creating that business.
Many men have tried to understand what they did to us. And when they take Kunta Kinte to the United States of America, the first thing that they do to him is to beat him out, that he may change his name, so that Kunta Kinte is beaten out of him. That is what they do to us. They beat our Africanness out of us. And when we are all empty, they fill us with something that is alien. And then we begin to think like them. We begin to think that our hair is not good enough, so that our women must buy wigs from dead women in Asia.
Na dia ya na say obi so aka history ni bi a kire wo. Na nya no kore. Eni ntina abaya akwara odi be 7 years. Wo ka kire ne say wo de broni gina ho na de tuntum gina ho na bisa say hwana ne ho fe a. Wo be ka kire say broni na. And into the way TV suya, in your may pre way to Tumkra pet or just an whole time. Your may, what they buy away to Tumjina, now the cocoa jina or be cocoa. No correct, Nieka,
so that our women must reject their skin, they bleach it, that they may become whiter. And they do that to us because they know that our women are the fountain of life, and that when they change our women, we men who are weak will be changed. We must stop that.
So if you really want to develop, look at the countries, look at Chinese. They had their own system, said, no, let's go with this. Look at even the Arabs, their system, let's go with this. The other ones who stole a lot of wealth and have guns are now trying to say that every 4 years, change yours, change your government. But they had stolen a lot of money.
That interference in Africa started with slavery. When slavery had lost its value, it graduated into colonization.
And now they have built, a lot of things with guns. And they control. Look at their currencies everywhere. Power.
We regained independence by mimicking European governance systems. No African country will ever succeed on the basis of those systems.
They are saying that copy us. How are you going to copy that? When you didn't go anywhere for 300 years to have a lot of people work for you and you didn't see a lot of wealth. How are you going to use your mind to develop this?
Right now, we are enabling the 4th Industrial Revolution and the 5th Industrial Revolution. That is why they have talent visas, because they are taking our talent. If it is not nurses, it is our IT gurus. If it is not our IT gurus, it is our engineers. And we are gleefully letting them away. I see our heads of state saying, we have signed a contract to take our workers to Saudi Arabia, modern day slavery.
They told you that, don't worry, just wait, let's pay you. But they are focusing on the wealth. Why? Because they just want you to follow them. Anytime that you want to take your destiny in your own hands, they will say that, no, you're becoming too radical. They will tame you.
Africa can rise and Africa will rise, but it's not going to rise by prayer and fasting.
When they came here and abused Christianity, they told us to close our eyes in prayer. And when we opened our eyes, the land had disappeared. That is who they are. They are not our friends.
The conqueror writes history. They came, they conquered, and they wrote. Now, you don't expect people who came to invade us to write the truth about us. They will always write negative things about us. And they have to do that because they have to justify their invasion in all the countries.
We are now in a neo-colonial stage.
There are critical positions, global and international organizations, that if you are African, then getting there will become very difficult. They have to make sure that the dominant ones are white, because racism actually is an economic tool to dominate those who don't look like them.
They interfere militarily. They interfere through institutions such as the IMF and the World Bank. They interfere by ensuring that our economic infrastructure is beholden to theirs.
They use so many tools, so many techniques to fight the Africans. But I think the most dangerous part was when they partitioned the continent and they started to introduce some of these structures and their cultures. That's what really affected us, you know. So it's not so much that they overcame us as they want us to believe, you know. The institutions that they run now are the ones trying to restrict us from becoming what we have to become.
Through dollarization, they interfere through education, they interfere by influencing our processes, by lending us advisors who tell us what to do. The neo-colonial project is alive and well.
Until we are person oh, it's into audition or her, names or audition. Amamra and I say Bakosama de Yakachero. Now, make the Africa no dear. Major say over the last 10,000 years, so person will soon be pa be correct to drain. Because they are draining the microphone.
How else do they interfere? Through NGOs, Danida, CEDA, UKAID, USA. These are Trojan horses that are introduced into our countries for the purpose of influencing our processes.
We as baby and how holding one at home. I want to know school grand or kind of room Kazani abono. There was a baby afraid baby former. It's just about suit about tie. So most of the baby abo be also pamo.
And remember, it is no longer just Europe. There is a new scramble for Africa. The Chinese are here. The Turks are here. The Qataris are here. All of them are coming back.
Let's be realistic here. Let's not talk about peanuts. Africa does not need the aid. What we need is for those who are exploiting Africa to stop. Africa has everything it needs. If Africa could have contributed as much as it did to the recovery of Europe post-World War II, why wasn't Africa equally developed?
An American outfit, they are the ones who come here and tell us how our economy is behaving. When the American dollar as much as sneezes, the Naira goes into a coma. Why? We still believe that somebody else's currency is what must define us. 63 years after independence, we are still importing chicken as if our chicken forgot how to lay eggs.
You look at agriculture, they're destroying African agriculture by introducing those GMOs. You plant your seed in one season, your soil is finished. We used to have seeds that we can use from one season to the other. The introduction of GMOs through these agencies, USAID is one of them. We are destroying Africa in a massive way.
And yet we have come from very different culture. And you cannot lift a people by imposing another culture on them. It will destroy them.
We are so very thoroughly miseducated that what we must do is to unlearn the burden that we have in our mind. Those of us who are lawyers, when do we feel happiest? When we cite an English authority to determine a land case in Abeokuta. That is how miseducated we are. And until we are re-educated, we who are present here are part of the danger to Africa.
You have to evolve from the culture and develop the culture. You know, so for instance, the education that they gave us, we should have just used our language to evolve. That was the best. And if Nkrumah could not do that, at least they should have added that. How do you tell us that we should be speaking English and still be proud of ourselves? Better is.
And one of them said that Harvard was the best school in law, in teaching of law. I said, whose law? Nigerian law? Ugandan law? Zimbabwean law? They can only be best in teaching their law, not ours.
But what they don't tell you is that Africa, through exploitation of its resources by the Europeans, was actually a much, much bigger contribution to the European recovery post-World War II. Nobody talks about that.
Mecca, because they are replacing religion. The history and the identity as a people, a religion. And this was a Cremonino who's a Arab.
Christianity is a post-Christ religion, and you can see that God has been appropriated by civilization, and over the years they have been whitening God.
Because what now question Islam, Christo or Israel or minim, but ni bibia ni din aduane na ware sem ni bibia no or se ko Israel for no ko chano. Into one no dia yes say. Sa anti moment a different
British for no
from bazaar. Into these are confused people. Into was want me nyina.
Even Christ was in the Middle East. He was not as white as he is now presented to us. They took Christ to the Greeks. They made him white and they made him speak Greek. And when they are tired with it, they created a religion that they called the Roman Catholic Church. God was not a Catholic and is not a Catholic. When they were tired with him, they took him to England to allow King Henry VIII to marry. And they named the Church of England, and made the Queen and the monarch the head of that church. God is not an Anglican.
So, and this way, Sadina, Sebe, Yedi Hokra, because Unimo. Now the kit will be a debia in your democrano, a bow. So, Obia, no Hunya democraba, so, no Johnny, because Unia could draw.
If you ask the Ethiopian Bureau of Standards what they are asking us to be injected with, they do not know. They just believe it is a vaccine because the Americans have said so, or because the Chinese have said so.
Before Christ 1 year, the tutu ya brabo ne hu many years.
I will and I will come back
the Bob brand ne
yes, history no only my man wakukudro. The entire war mre is because winning baby are free.
There is only one race in the world, the human race. But the whites have forgotten that. The Arabs have forgotten that. The Chinese have forgotten that. It is only we Africans who know that there is only one race.
And once you accept yourself, you can accept everybody. You become confident. And with that confidence, you can achieve anything. It's not the confidence that when you meet the white man, you start to cry, you look for help. It's the confidence that you're enough to build yourself with whatever that you have.
How can it be that Africa is the richest continent on the world and our diamond is produced in South Africa, in Botswana, and Namibia, and in Sierra Leone, and in Liberia, but the price is determined in Antwerp, in Belgium? How can it be?
Because you're too normally good. You're Japadi Kutayina to go. Qua ho. Oh, one is all by an own baby. You're cherry baby, but you're free. Into a bar.
How can it be that Africa produces cocoa in Togo, in Cote d'Ivoire, and in Ghana, and chocolate is then made in Switzerland and in Belgium, who have not even a bush of cocoa? How can it be that tea is produced in Ethiopia and in Uganda and in Kenya, and when it is taken to the United Kingdom, they now call it English tea? How can it be? It can only be because we have allowed our minds to be captured. It can only be because we have allowed ourselves to be spiritually confused. Can only be because we have allowed ourselves to be slaves of others. And the God that we worship, knowing that we are confused, has turned his head on the other side, so that when we pray and fast, he does not listen. Or if he listens, he does not care. He's waiting for us to realize ourselves so that we can worship in truth.
Baby brother, I grow na you modern. I grow pleasure, entertainment, sports. I'm telling you. Because when you know who person will do so. Now one pass resre. Who person jauting. Person ye bibi manchirima. What to form and 9 over sorry no. Cause when you know what you want.
Enti sadie we nyina se minime hu me history kwa be so and a befe be boa yen e family ye die hu
and ye die ma simple woni nye dia wontimi nye ye woni mu hu a wontimi nye ye ohima so wadwe wo foba wo bre wo wiase absolutely because
history never me I sharp.
I'm telling you
Business opportunity or history book.
O say o say especially e won krofie o makoko ko school mu history no or per business plan bia or per broni de because ne man no team no woni wonte no man ase especially a lot of policies ya hyehyɛ bebrebe ya emwa e kunkum ye businesses sa ye nim de enko for per